Hey guys, Anime Gypsy here with another anime classics review. This is Patlabor, whatever you want to call it. It's a pretty good movie. It's not bad, but it's not as good as the previous movies I've reviewed. All of the other movies I've reviewed have gotten a rating that's 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 because they were like bona fide classics. I'm not saying this isn't a classic, but I'm just saying it's not a masterpiece like Miyazaki's pieces, like Satoshi Kon's movies. This movie gets a rating out of that is 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's good. It's not like super good. It's just simply good. Now, start off the review. I'm going to talk about something simple and progressively get into the more complicated things. And what I'm going to talk about first is the characters. And one of my favorite characters in this movie is the simplest of characters. His name is Ota, and he's the guy that throws himself off. And this is the thing. In this movie, we get a lot of stuff that's related to religion, technology, the progression of humans, where humanity's going with that sort of stuff. And in the midst of it all is this simple minded, how should I say this? I don't want to say, he kind of reminds me of like a mindless gnome that just obeys orders. And it's pretty fun having a character like that in a series like this. And what I'm trying to say is this guy, he's mindless, he's loyal, and it's his simplicity that kind of shines in a movie like this where you talk about software all the time, you're talking about religion, about the implications of technology, and in comes Ota. It's just a breath of fresh air, straight up. Now, Noah, second character I'm going to talk about. There's three characters I'm going to talk about in the character section. Noah she is the manifestation of instinct. She really is. Everything we've seen her do is based on instinct. When she looks at one of the infected robots, the Model Zero robot, she's like, it kind of looks evil. And you have a lot of other scenes where like instinctively she does stuff, and she's right on the mark. And this instinct comes from an association with nature, and we see that in the scene where she's picking up vegetables, and that goes back to like gender studies and female association with nature and all that stuff. The Shakti in Indian mythology, in Taoism, the association with the earth and yin. This type of stuff is prevalent in mythology all over, and you find like little hints, little references to that sort of stuff within Noah's character. And of course, this series is littered with biblical references, and she is no exception. Her very name, yes, is Noah, the prophet from the Bible, from the Abrahamic faiths. Noah, the prophet. And it's pretty good. This is the interesting thing about her. In terms of visual design, she's my favorite character. I really love this character. She's always animated in these like, how should I explain this? She's always just living her life in the very beginning of the movie, and she has a very good slice of life moments where she just woke up, she's stretching, and stuff that we could relate to, something that it really gets us invested in the character. Just stuff like this, watching her go about her daily life. It's pretty nice, refreshing, seeing stuff like that. Something I kind of say is that you're fattening the turkey so you're more invested in the character. So if the character dies later on, which she doesn't, thankfully, then you'd be more invested in her. So slice of life is definitely something we see a lot of with the Noah, and a little bit with Asuma. Now, the voice actress for Noah is Mina Tominaga, who actually acts Melody's voice in Hunter x Hunter, who I believe is a semi-prominent role in Hunter x Hunter. She's also been in a bunch of hotshot animes beforehand, such as Yu-Gi-Oh, and Nojiko of the Valley of the Wind. So she's been in pretty big names. So this isn't her her big break, not by a long shot. So so that's it for Noah. The other character is Asuma, the one I'm going to talk about. And Asuma, he is a natural pessimist. You know, it's everything that goes wrong you have to complain about, in every small thing. And because he's a pessimist, he thinks things through all the time, and he's very analytical. And he's the main protagonist in the series. And having an analytical protagonist is something very hard to do, but it was executed well. It was executed well in this movie. Now, the voice actor for this character is Toshio Furukawa, who actually has a few big shot anime names under his title, including Bleach, and he's also the voice actor for Portgas D. Ace himself in the video games. Not the anime, in the video games. He's the one that does the voice for Portgas D. Ace. Uh, Top 10 saddest anime deaths, just throwing it out there. Portgas D. Ace. Now, okay. And finally, the character. This is the thing. This character leaves a lot to the imagination because we haven't seen much of him. Hola Iechi. Hoba Iechi. Now, Hoba Iechi is the mastermind behind all of this. He's the main antagonist of the series, and he has a god complex. He does. And it's interesting because I was actually writing a paper recently about characters with god complexes, and the way I'm going to compare him to the other characters that I have on the list that have god complex, mainly NL and the Tenryubito in One Piece, and also what's his face? Gil Tesoro. Now, this is the thing with Gil Tesoro and the Ryubito. The ideology of them being God manifests from the fact that they're very wealthy. For the Tenryubito, it's more political. For Gil Tesoro, it's more, money. It's all about the cash. Money is power. You can't get anything without money. With NL, it's power. Power not politically, not via money, but blatant force. Like, if you could kill someone islands away, you're God. Like, that's NL's perspective on the matter. It's if you're able to take someone's life, if you're able to do whatever the heck you want, then by all means, you're God. You're able to do whatever you want. Now, on the other hand, his ideology of why he has a god, his ideology behind his god complex is a lot more complex than those guys. His ideology behind the god complex has to do with justice mainly, especially kind of a retraction of technology. This is where we transition to the biblical references and all that jazz. So the biblical references here, let me read a Bible verse for you guys. A Muslim reading a Bible verse that always happens. Okay. Go to, let us down, and there confound their tongues, that they may not understand one another's speech. Now this is from the story of the Tower of Babel. This story is about a group of guys that were like, okay, dude, you know what would be dope? What would be dope is if we built a tower all the way to heaven. And of course, what ends up happening during this period of time is they get so invested in it that the people on the top do not understand the people on the bottom. After spending so much time there, they forget the language, so on and so forth, and they're not able to communicate anymore. They lose semblance of communication because their perception is different and their ability to comprehend language is different because they spent so much time above. So what is the message here? The message here is there are certain things that human beings, us, should not try and transcend. And if we try and transcend it, we're going to get smacked. We're going to get punished for it. And the punishment is something divine. So Hoba, or Jehovah, should I say, because that's his moniker in MIT. What makes him God is that he is the one delivering this divine punishment for the technology that we have currently, and the whole arc, the Babylon project. Those things are basically what he deems to be something that should be punishable in a divine fashion. And the way he does it is through Haas and the software system that he creates. And because of that, he's able to basically have divine judgment, so to speak, for what we as human beings. It's basically the equivalent of the it's the equivalent of like the human transmutation bit in Full Metal Alchemist. Certain things shouldn't be touched, certain things you shouldn't get near. And here he perceives what we did. What sorry, not what we did. He perceives the whole mecha situation as something ungodly and therefore shouldn't exist. The whole the for some reason he sees the Babylon construction project as something that should be terminated because it is unholy. Now, I like his character, I really do, and I really like the fact that we leave a lot of imagination with this particular character. I do not like the execution and the lack of explanation as to why he believes so. Because from what we are able to gather, that's the whole thing. But why specifically does he believe that this construction project is something unholy, something that shouldn't happen, something that human beings can't mess with? Like, what is the explanation there? We don't get it. Maybe it's in the series, because I know that there's a series as opposed to the movie that I just watched. So that's the one thing. That's the one thing I'm kind of bummed about here. Now, we get a lot of world building in the beginning, and world building is an important aspect. Basically, the setting of this movie takes place in in the near future, because this movie is made in the 80s and the setting takes place in like the 1990s and the early 2000s. So you really have a sense of, okay, I see. That's yeah, I understand. So this is where we are. This is now where, and this is where we were. This is where we are, and it's not that big a jump. And honestly, I don't think it seemed like that big a jump for the people making this movie in the 1980s, because there are movies talking about the 2000s in space, and they're like, nah, let's keep it reasonable. We'll make robots, but not overly huge robots, just robots to help with labor, which really does seem like a realistic interpretation of the future by people from the 1980s. Like, they're actually putting thought into what might possibly happen in the 2000s and the late 90s. So I really like the setting. It really got me. It's pretty good. Now, also, a little bit on the economic side, where they basically discuss laborers and how many laborers in the mechas are in Japan. And I did the math, and in Japan, according to this movie, there are 75,600 laborers, mechas. And due to the significance that these guys have, and due to everything we've heard from this movie, we have an understanding of the economic need for this type of stuff. And this is something anime doesn't really touch on much, like the economics of something, the economic implications of something, and it's pretty nice to see that change in this movie. Now, I've sung my praises. Now it's time for me to tell you what I didn't like about this movie. This movie tried to be overt, tried to be steady, tried to be sly, but it really failed. You had scenes where, like, I think the director thought he was being smart when he like left the little tomato next to the door, and the door got open. Oh, it's a tomato, and it's like supposed to be a reference that Noah heard everything. So it's like, nah. And you see references like this all the time that I think are attempts at being like subtle, but are heavy-handed. And this is something that kind of threw me off. I was like, like, subtlety is Oda's specialty. Like, you have little hints that really get revealed in the future, like little things that you're not supposed to catch on about, but only in rewatches are you like, oh, so that's what that was. So yeah, that sort of thing he lacks. Maybe it's just because it's a 2-hour movie and you can't really do that in just a 2-hour movie. But yet again, look at 2001. But again, that's nah, you can't really compare that many pieces of art to something like 2001. So I retract that statement. You can't really compare this. Like 2001 is a gem. This compared to 2001 is like a piece of wood. And it doesn't even compute. So Yeah, I think that there's an issue with an attempt of subtlety that just massively failed. Massively failed. Now, there's also an issue when it comes to the writing, I think, because how should I explain this? I think some parts are poorly written. Um, and what I'm trying to say is, especially in the very end, I feel like there was a level of convenience and a level of convenience and also a level of heavy-handedness in the plot where, oh, this is obviously a trap, Noah, but you should go there, risk your life, and just go there despite us knowing that this is most definitely something resembling a trap. He wants you to be there. What are you talking about? Oh, there is a emergency system in this exact location. Are you serious? This is like too heavy-handed. I just I wasn't digging it, to be quite honest. I really wasn't. And again, it's really rare to find a masterpiece in animation. It's really rare. Like the Miyazaki pieces, that isn't the standard. You don't watch a Miyazaki piece and expect all of anime to be Miyazaki pieces. No. No. If anime was only Miyazaki works, then Miyazaki works won't be unique. This stuff is above everything else. And I'm not saying that the movie I just watched was terrible. I'm just saying it has flaws like any other movie. Yeah, every movie has flaws, some less than others, like the masterpieces. And this has more flaws, in my perspective, than the masterpieces, than Miyazaki stuff, than Satoshi Kon's stuff, than Hunter x Hunter, than One Piece. In my perspective, yes, I hold Hunter x Hunter and One Piece on high regard, specifically. Well, actually, no, they're about the same in my perspective. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood 2, just up there. Though those are like right underneath them Naruto, but I disagree. Whatever. So you have the heavy-handedness in the plot and all that jazz, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. What else? Uh, the animation quality. I really like the animation quality because I'm a big fan of the old animation quality, and it's like Akira and all that stuff. I grew up in the Arab world, and we had a few channels. One of them was called ART, the other one was called Space Tunes, and they used to stream old school anime as cartoons, and I used to watch that stuff, and I loved it. And this brought back memories of myself just sitting down in my grandma's house watching watching Space Tunes or ART. Like, oh, the memories. Yeah. So that's all I have to say about this movie. If you like the video, please leave a like. Until next time, guys, this is Anime Gypsy, and I'm out. See you guys later. Bye.